Thank you.
Senator Nengi.
Mr. President, my name is Senator Abdul Ningi and I represent Bauchi Central, Bauchi State. Mr. President, this is a very highly remarkable landmark legislation. Mr. President, 1959, if you take a roll call amongst us, very few people were born before 1959 here present. And this is the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So what I'm saying, for 65 years, this Federal Ministry Incorporated Act becomes almost 66 years, has not been modified to catch the intendment of the Incorporated Act of 1959. It is therefore, in my opinion, becomes very imperative that this kind of legislation, committees, and particularly chairmen of committees, must peruse through their acts and see whether or not various legislation are apt and timeous. This legislation is apt, timeous, and very, very rewarding, because once you allow legislation of this nature to take a personal disposition in the sense that administrators will use their, once you make it a law, it is therefore imperative that everybody, including the administrators, must obey the law. And the law is not just fair for us. This particular draft resolution will be taken to the general public for debate and see whether it is meritorious enough, and therefore it is important that we all key into this resolution and make it possible for the bill to be passed a second reading. Finally, I will commend my younger brother Sani Musa for coming up with this legal framework. I think it is important. At the end of the day, it will pay off. It will serve Nigeria's interests, and I so submit, Mr. President.
Yes, distinguished Senator Mangun.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, my name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. Well, my contribution is to give muscular expression to the submissions made by Senator Yahaya to the effect that there is a need to amend the relevant laws in order to bring the operations of the Sovereign Wealth Fund and the Ministry of Finance incorporated together to be one and the same, because as it is a duplication of functions. There is a need to bring them together to make them in consonance with international best practice and get value for money. With regard to the amendment of this law, the 1959 law is outdated and opaque, and therefore there is a need to amend it to bring it in tandem with modern realities or modern realities of economic function. Against this backdrop, I support the second reading of this bill. Thank you.
It's very appropriate. Distinguished colleagues, is there anybody that is opposed to this bill being read a second time? Professor War.
Much, Mr. Senate President, my very distinguished colleagues, my name is Jim Ofolosho Ibrahim, representing Ondo South. Mr. Senate President, sir, I discovered something very fundamental about this amendment. something that will give integrity to the 10th Senate. The fact that only Minister of Justice is recognized by Nigeria Constitution. Even the Minister of Finance is not recognized by the Constitution. There is nowhere in the Constitution of Nigeria where we have Ministry of Finance. So the amendment is very, very imperative. And we have to work, as a group collaboratively to ensure that other ministries beyond Ministry of Finance are not even operating illegally because they don't have constitutional recognition. The Constitution doesn't know them. The only minister in Nigeria recognized by the Constitution is Attorney General and Minister of Justice. The Minister of Finance, whether incorporated or not incorporated, or the Minister of Finance is not recognized by the Constitution. As a Senate, these are the lacunas that we need to quickly fix in our constitutional development. We cannot be sitting here as senators, distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, working so hard the way we are working and still have serious lacunas in our constitution. We need to work very, very fast and assiduously. And like Senator Magulu said, it has to be in the tendium, with the modern realities. So the point I'm making is that not only that this all-important lead debate is critical to our development, I want to say that the Minister of Finance is not recognized by the Constitution. The Minister of Finance is not in the Constitution. Minister of Agric is not in the Constitution. And we have Senate Committee on Agriculture. Ministry of Transportation is not in the Constitution. In fact, we must sit down now and harmonize how many ministries do we have. And all the ministries must be given constitutional face and constitutional value. They must be in the Constitution. How can you say that we are operating as a federation, with 250 million people, with all the constitutional amendments, and we have only one minister, only one ministry is noted in our Constitution? I challenge anyone to tell me where in our Constitution that Minister of Finance is even mentioned. It's not there. So if it's not there, why are we sitting there? We are sitting here as intelligent people, well-to-do people here, well-read, experience. They must help us to solve that constitutional lacuna so as to make the executive efficient and effective. In fact, Mr. Senate President, how do you continue to budget for ministries that are not in the Constitution? Is it not illegal? You keep giving budget allocation, appropriation to various ministries, Ministry of Sport, Youth Development, Ministry of Defense. Even we are talking about security today. Ministry of Defense is not even in the Constitution. And we bring people here to this Senate to come and clear them for the purpose of appointment into those ministries that are not constitutionally recognized. So we keep come to say an act of parliament establish Ministry of Finance, an act of parliament establish Ministry of Defense, an act of parliament establish Ministry of Sport, just because they are created by executive fiat and executive order. So we have to put a full stop into this and ensure that we harmonize how many ministries are we supposed to have, how many ministries are in existence now, and give them constitutional backing so that we can be comfortably, we can sit down here and do our appropriation to those ministries after we give the constitution recognition. So conclusively, Mr. Senate President, you have been very busy. All I'm saying is that we must go and give face value to those ministries. If we're able to do that, we'll make history that since 1965, since 1922, under the Clever Constitution, to 1946 of Latitude, to 51 of Mafasin, to 1960 independence, to 1963 Republican, to 1979 up to the present day, Minister of Finance is not known by any of this constitution. Minister of Agric is not known by any of this constitution. So the summary of my argument is that you cannot have a ministry that is not constitutionally recognized. Minister of Defense is not in the constitution. This is a big lacuna. And Minister of Works that is collecting almost 80% of the money is not in the constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. As a matter of fact, if we don't take action, somebody can even approach constitution to stop allocation to all of this. Consider point of order. Put all of this. So what I'm trying to say, when I conclude, is that
constitutional point of order.
Constitutional point of order. There is constitutional point of order.
Constitutional point of order. Yes, I'll be glad to pause.
Mr. President, I'm coming under order 147. There shall be such offices of ministers of the government of the Federation as may be established by the President. So the Constitution has taken care and has empowered the President to have ministries. He doesn't, the Constitution doesn't, but ministers are to administer ministries. So it's provided the Constitution. So I therefore want to draw his attention that his assertion that ministries are not provided in the Constitution is not correct. Is not correct. So, and the President can have as many ministries as he so wishes. The Constitution has given him the latitude to create ministries in order to a kind of administer the country. So this means that my very good friend and brother is talking about, the President is given the latitude, the freedom, the liberty to create any ministry he so wishes.
Thank you.
So I also, therefore, I call on Mr. President to rule my friend out of order. I so submit.
Well, the Constitution, the ground norm, and here it says section 1471 is very clear. There shall be such offices of ministers of the government of the Federation as may be established by the President. It is no ambiguity. So your point of order is sustained, and I hope the professor of law has noted.
Let me conclude my point, sir.
Professor of
I
law.
agree. But what I'm saying, let me conclude. I was talking before. And let me conclude my point. My contribution.
Conclude.
Yes, sir. What I'm saying is that the president have power to create ministries and offices. Not sorted out. But when they are created, they must be recognized by the Constitution. The same Constitution recognizes office of Attorney General and Minister of Justice as the only minister recognized by the Constitution. When the president has done his own job, the legislature must support the president to constitutionalize and institutionalize it in the document. This is important, and that's the point I'm making. And this point is very important. Okay, lastly,
before somebody
yes
opens this time, not the Constitution,
yes,
but our standing orders to let you know that you cannot speak twice on the same issue.
Yes.
So I will want to appeal to the professor of war to take his seat.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for complying. Thank you. Thank you for your contributions.
Thank you, sir. I'm not ruled out.
This is Senator Mustafa Salio. Just a minute. Let Mustafa say something.
The Senate President, distinguished colleagues, my name is Salih Mustafa, representing Kwara Central. Your Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, in supporting this well-crafted amendment, I will want to add that when considering it clause by clause, we must be very cautious of how we want to give MOFI an entire responsibility of government assets. We must be cautious because the Ministry of Finance Incorporated faces a fundamental challenge as it is rapidly acquiring and centralizing ownership of wide range assets. So I think in also supporting this, we should try and make sure that every ministry and agency that own these assets originally must have a proper synergy with the MOFI to have a good corporate governance structure, because at the end of the day, it is the corporate governance structure that will guide and help to make sure these assets that are underutilized are put in proper use, so that we don't throw away the mother ministries and just create another entity on its own that will manage this thing solely. From day one, most of these ministries and agencies that own this asset have a fundamental understanding of what they wanted to achieve with it. So when we are creating a new entity for MOFI, we must make sure the old entities synergize with them so as to have a proper corporate governance. If not, we will be creating another monster in the house that might not be able to manage these assets properly, because at the end of the day, it is about utilization and bringing out value for these assets. So I want to submit at this point and support this able crafted bill.
Constitutional point of order. Yes, thank you for your submission.
Section 150 of the Constitution. Section 150 of the Constitution clearly states, though you have ruled on the matter, because in the course of the submissions of the Professor of War, he copiously mentioned that the office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice is mentioned in the Constitution. He kept on making reference to that why is it that other ministers are not mentioned in the Constitution? The office of the Attorney General was specifically mentioned in Section 150 because it is combined together, Attorney General and Minister of Justice. The Attorney General is the chief law officer of the state, of the country. And that is why the name of the Attorney General was specifically mentioned under Section 150 of the Constitution. That is what I want to bring to the notice of the Senate. It's not as a result of bias or anything.
Distinguished colleagues.
That's why I said though he has ruled on it.
Yes, I have, but your point is noted. Distinguished colleagues, is anybody opposed to this bill being read a second time? Okay, therefore I put the question. Those who support that this bill being read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to repeal the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Act and reenact the Ministry of Finance Incorporated 2025 to make provisions for a modern, transparent, and professionally driven framework, and for related matters 2025 SB 844, second reading.
Distinguished colleagues, a bill for an act to repeal the Ministry of Finance Incorporated Act and reenact the Ministry of Finance Incorporated 2025 to make provision for a modern, transparent, and professionally driven framework for related matters 2025, second reading taken. The Committee on Finance will handle this, so this is referred to that committee to report back to the Senate within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate. Just let me hear from the Leader of the Senate, then I come.
The repository of college Mr. President, the fourth order of the day is presentation and consideration of the reports of Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petitions in respect of 1. Petition from Kalu Jonah on behalf of Proforma Projects and Services Limited against National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, over alleged unjustified delay, frustration, disruption, and stop order on MT Rania wreck removal contract in Kirikiri Waterways, Lagos State. 2. Disengagement of Mr. Joseph Idogesit Akpan from service by NCAC in 2027. Mr. President, you may wish to invite Senator Neda Bernard to move the motion for the Senate to receive and consider the report of the committee.
Distinguished Senator Emerson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Neda Imaswe, representing Edo South Senatorial District, Chairman Standing Committee on Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition. May Senate do receive the report of the petition from Kalu Jonah on behalf of Proforma Projects and Services Limited against National Inland Waterways, and the petition of Ishola Rukayat Ajoke, a master servant warrant of Nigerian Air Force against the Nigerian Air Force. The third petition, Mr. President, of Anete Akpan, we will step down for further considerations because the report is not complete. So, Mr. President, I crave your indulgence to move that these petitions be accepted.
Yes, distinguished Senator Blank.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not this one. It's a different thing.
The President of the Senate our leader, my distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Dicket Plan. I represent the good people of Plateau Central. I rise to second the motion moved by Senator Bernard Neda that the that the Senate do receive of the three petitions with commendations. I wish to commend the Senate Committee on Ethics, Conduct
code of conduct and public petitions for always on top of our petitions. The fact that that committee normally have time to sit on petitions brought by us, by the public, it gives a lot of hope to the voiceless Nigerians that have complained. So on behalf, I wish that we need to commend that committee chaired by Senator Bernard Neda, because the voices and petitions of people
So
are
you
heard
are seconding the motion.
and commending
No, you are seconding the motion
Yes, sir.
that the Senate should receive
and
the report,
consider,
while at the same time
and
stepping
all the time
down.
commending the committee for a job well done. I so second.
No, you are seconding the motions
Yes, sir.
that the Senate should receive and consider the reports from the committee and public petitions, while stepping down the report number 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I am seconding.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm seconding
He moved
his,
2 motions.
Yeah.
But stepping down
the third one.
the item, the item 3
Yeah,
of the report.
yes, sir.
That's, you've seconded that.
I'm seconding that.
Distinguished colleagues, the report as read for submission to the Senate for consideration by distinguished Senator Neda, and stepping down the report for consideration on item 3 has been seconded by distinguished Senator Plan. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. You hold the one that has been stepped down.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, again, Senator Neda Imaso, representing Edo South Senatorial District, Chairman Senate Committee on Ethics, Privilege, on a petition from Mr. Kalu Jonah on behalf of Proforma Projects and Services Limited against national frustration, disruption, and stop work order on the Runia Wreck Removal Contract in Kirikiri Waterways of my constituents, Kalu Jonah, who wrote on behalf of Proforma Projects and Services Limited against National Inland Waterways Authority over alleged unjustified delays, frustration, disruption, and stop work order on Runia Wreck Removal Contract in Kirikiri Waterways. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, petition was received. Having invited the petitioner Mr. Kalu Jonah, and the respondent, National Union Pro Forma Projects and Services, a Nigerian registered limited liability company specialized in removing wrecks, derelicts, and obstructions from inland waterways.
The Distinguished Senator and Chairman of the committee, please just go straight into findings.
A stop order was given to them by NIWA because another company showed up to say they own the ship.
You're not happy with the way
The three parties were before us, and having listened to them, we observed as follows: that there was a valid contractual agreement between National Inland Waterways and Pro Forma Projects, and that the due process was followed by the Pro Forma contractors, and that the third party that showed up had not been able to convince the committee that they indeed own the ship, because we asked them to show proof which they couldn't show. And therefore, we recommended it's our recommendation that the Senate commend the National Inland Waterways Authority for recalling Pro Forma Projects and Services Limited back to site to resume the removal of wreck MT Ronaya at Kirikiri waters in Lagos in accordance to the MT Ronaya removal contractor agreement between the two entities. That the Senate do direct Renotech Limited to stop further interference in the MT Ronaya wreck removal. Direct the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure that the resolution of the Senate on this matter is complied with by the National Inland Waterways and the Renotech Limited. Conclusion: we thank the Senate President, distinguished colleagues, for these rare opportunities for us to serve in this capacity. Thank you, Mr. President. Now the second petition, Mr. President.
Let's finish with this first one, then we call it to go on this one. Is there any person that has any comment on this first petition? Nobody. Okay. So, recommendation 1, that the Senate do commend the National Inland Waterways Authority (NIWA) for recalling pro forma projects and services between the National Inland Waterways Authority (NIWA) and Messrs. Pro Forma Projects and Services Limited. Those in support of recommendation 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 3, that the Senate do direct the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure that the resolution of the Senate on this matter is complied with by the National and painstaking investigation. And we do hope that they will comply with, NIWA will comply with what we have just done. And we also thank NIWA for going back to its contractual agreements, because agreement is an agreement and therefore is bound to be obeyed and is legally binding. So this is in compliance with the laws of the nation. So we thank you and thank your committee for a wonderful job. Go to the next one.
The second petition, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, is that of Mrs. Ishola Rukiyat Ajoke, a master's warrant officer of the Nigerian Air Force
against the Nigerian Air Force over her alleged high-handedness against the Nigerian Air Force. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this is a matter of master warrant officer who also had a husband that was an Air Force officer but died, not in service, left with a son. According to the petitioner, she had challenges in trying to raise the child herself and her duties because she was posted from Ibadan to Maiduguri and her son was already in school in Ibadan. And so she had difficulty moving from one place to another. And as a result, she was termed AWOL, that's away without leave from her duties. Persistence of that, she was now declared a deserter. She appeared before us, and we also invited the Nigerian Air Force to appear, which they did. Having listened to both parties, it became very clear, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that the petitioner who also petitioned that the husband's insurance, life insurance, was not paid or is not being paid by the Nigerian Air Force, and that the son was entitled to scholarship because of the death of her officer husband. But according to the evidence we received, it became obvious to us that the son was not entitled to such a scholarship because the husband did not die on duty. However, given the circumstances, special circumstance of her case, and the son that she's saddled with, the committee recommends as follows: that the Senate do urge the Nigerian Air Force to follow up and ensure the payment of the insurance claim of his deceased personnel warrant officer Olawale Taiwo Daramola, husband of the petitioner, to his family to ameliorate the hardship being faced by the family. 2, that the Senate do urge the Nigerian Air Force to compassionately, we ask this on the ground of compassion, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to capture the only son of the late personnel, my senatorial district, who decided to serve the nation, and the two of them joined the Nigerian Air Force. 9 years ago, the husband died, leaving behind a child, a product of the marriage. Because of the tradition in the military, the widow, who was also still in service, was posted across different places. The son was in Ibadan. She was posted to Maiduguri, from Maiduguri to some other places. Under the trauma of the emotion of losing the husband, and also want to take care of the child, she couldn't honor the posting a couple of times, and she was declared a deserter. Worse still, the pension of the late husband, who died 9 years ago, has not been paid. The Air Force is also not paying for the school fees of the child.
and yet the woman has been declared on her wall as a deserter. Double jeopardy. While we recognize the need for the military to enforce discipline, and we must salute the military because that's the profession she signed up for. But in this circumstance, we are pleading that the military should temper justice with mercy, considering the fact that the two of them, both the husband and the wife, elected to serve in the military, and the husband has died 9 years ago. His entitlement have not been paid. In the course of taking care of the child, the wife was also declared a deserter. While recognizing the military discipline and the regulations, I plead on behalf of this woman, as has been recommended here, for three things. Number one, for the military to please hasten the process of paying the entitlement and the pension of the deceased husband 9 years after. All of us will know that what that pension could have been 9 years ago, and what the value will be now. Secondly, to also plead with military, whatever the rules, to ensure that the only product of this marriage, they pay the school fees. And finally, the woman not even be able to work in the military again. But rather than declare her a deserter, we are pleading that they should retire honorably, so that she will now take care of the child and also have a fond memory of the husband and the country she had decided to serve. These are recommendations of the committee. And these are also pleas from here, from the constituents to the military authorities, to temper justice with mercy, and let this one move on in life and live some decent life. Thank you, Mr. President, and distinguished colleagues.
Thank you for your submission, and thank you, the chairman of the committee, for a job well done. This is not something we should debate. The military and quite unfortunate, we sympathize with the family for the loss of the husband, and we sympathize with the child. She was declared a war absent without lawful authority, and because she was taking care of a child. You know, when you sign up with the rules. So we will not concern ourselves so much with that. Rather, we will look at the aspect of compassion and plea. Have not been paid, the death benefits and all that, and having worked for 24 years, that we should appeal that those allowances be paid, and they should also consider the child on compassionate grounds in terms of school fees and all. But I think we should be silent on whether the mother should be recalled or otherwise, because the military has its own rules. So, distinguished colleagues, let us look at the recommendations. If there's anything to amend, we amend. But recommendation 1, that the Senate do urge the Nigerian Air Force to follow up and ensure the payment of the insurance claim of the deceased personnel, Warrant Officer Olawale Taiwo Daramola, husband of the petitioner, to the family to ameliorate the hardship being faced by the family. Those in support of this recommendation say aye. And those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 2, that the Senate Olawale Taiwo Daramola for payment of his school fees, considering the fact that the child's late father's insurance claim has not been paid since his death in 2016. Again, this is a plea to the military on compassionate grounds. Those in support of this plea, as contained in recommendation 2, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Recommendation 3, that the Senate do urge the Nigerian Air Force to retire the petitioner, Warrant Officer Ishola Rukayat Ayoke, honorably from its service, considering her emotional situation and the number of years she put into the service of the Air Force, 24 years.
Amendment.
Amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the indulgence again. Again, as I spoke earlier on, recognizing the fact that the military do have their internal rules and regulations, and that's what you sign up for. I think that I make this item 3 a directive. Let's just also use the word compassionate, just like we have done for the previous one, so that it is at their discretion. I can therefore play with them rather than enforce it, so that we also don't end up creating a culture of indiscipline within the military. So if therefore, may I create recommendation 3? To amend
While you are consulting, can I hear from the former Permanent Secretary Defense, Distinguished Senator Babangida?
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Babangida Hussaini, Senator representing Jigawa Northwest. I think this particular prayer should be stepped down for now in deference to the harmonized terms and conditions of service of the military, HTA course. It is very important for us to recognize every institution of government has its own. Is for us to step this prayer down and consult some more, and also marry it with the harmonized terms and conditions of service as it applies to the armed forces of Nigeria. I so move, sir.
Yes, the motion has been moved. The Deputy Senate President.
Barrow Jibrin Kano North. I stand to second the motion, ably moved by Senator Babangida Hussaini. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that prayer 3 be stepped down for the ayes have it. So let me thank distinguished Senator Neda and his committee. Additional? Oh, okay, proceed.
Abdul Ningi, Bauchi Central. My additional prayer is that the Committee of Legislative Compliance is hereby directed to follow up. Even though this is the work of the committee, but if you leave it like this, it becomes open-ended. Compliance of the resolution of ethics and privilege is of utmost importance. So, legislative guidelines should follow up to the resolution of all the prayers.
Any seconder? Yes, distinguished Senator Binus Yaro.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Binus Yaro, Adamawa South.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, additional prayer has been moved and seconded that the Senate Committee on Legislative Compliance be charged with the additional responsibility of following up on the resolutions of the Senate today. Those in support of this say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you for distinguished and for doing a good job, and then always following up on petitions from the public. This is very good, and this will continue to give confidence to the Nigerian public to know that we are serving them. We don't only make laws here, we also think about anything that will benefit them, because injury to one is injury to all. And just like they say in law, ibi jus, ibi remedium. There is no wrong without a remedy. So I thank you for always providing a remedy where there is injury to any Nigerian. Thank you. Leader of the Senate. This trying to raise a point of order.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, I would want to see this opportunity you have given me to raise a point of order, Order 42. With your permission, I will read the order. Said, by the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise from the explanation. Mr. President, I want to seize this opportunity you have graciously given me to bring the attention of this distinguished Senate to the criminal terrorist abduction of 25 young girls from Government Comprehensive Secondary School in Maga. Yes.
So, the Senator, yeah,
Sir.
we had passed the stage of that, so I want us to rather move a motion for us to adopt Order 1B.
Order 1B.
Yes, which enables us to regulate
yes, sir.
our rules.
Yes, sir.
So that we can.
In this regard, sir, I would like, with your permission, to raise a motion for this distinguished Senate to suspend or invoke Order 1B, so that we would suspend the necessary orders in order to be compliant with the provisions of the rule, in order for us to hear this matter of urgent national importance. I so move, Mr. President.
Yes. Well, the distinguished colleagues, the rules of the Senate are very clear that we do things in sequence. And so when we have passed matter of urgent national importance, we cannot revisit it. But as a result of the exigency, the same rule also made provision that in the event that we find ourselves in difficult circumstances like this, that we can regulate our activities. And that means suspend every other item and then do things in the interest of Nigerians. So if you go to Rule 38, you will see the arrangement of business. Unless the Senate otherwise directs, the business of each sitting shall be transacted in the following order. Formal entry of the President of the Senate prayers, approval of votes and proceedings, oath and affirmation of allegiance, and oath and affirmation of membership of the new Senate elect. Message from the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Other announcements by the Senate President from time to time. Petitions. Then 8, matters of urgent public importance. And then 9, we now go into personal explanations. Then by 10, we now start the order of the day. So the moment we go into real business of the day, it means that all the other items can only be taken on the next legislative. Our rule, as provided in section 1B, says that in all cases not provided for in this standing order, that is, distinguished colleagues, I want to put the question. Is it the view of the Senate that in view of the urgency of the matter by Senator Yahaya, that we do suspend order 38 and go ahead to invoke order 1B to enable him to bring up this issue? Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. We have waived the order.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and also express my gratitude to my distinguished and highly respected colleagues of the Senate to have given me this particular opportunity to raise this very important matter. Mr. President, I'm here to bring to the attention of this distinguished
now that you have been given the opportunity, do you still want to come by way of order 42, because you are at liberty to go to 41?
Yes, then because I have this opportunity, I go by a motion so that debate can follow the report that I'm about to give.
All right. So the Senate has given you the liberty to do as you want.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I really appreciate it. And my people, my state, my governor will also very appreciative of the Senate for giving us this opportunity to bring this matter up in this principal legislative institution of our nation. I want to see this opportunity, Mr. President, to bring to the attention of this distinguished chamber the activity of criminal terrorist groups that invaded Government Girls Comprehensive Secondary School in Maga, which is in Danko, Wasagu local government area, and in Kebbi South Territorial District of Kebbi State. The terrorist group, despite some police action, which was not enough to deter what they were about to do, invaded this girls' school and in the process abducted 25 girls, young girls, killing the vice principal of the school and wounding the principal in the process. This dastardly act was committed by the terrorists yesterday at about 4 p.m. This one-time kidnapping of schoolgirls, Mr. President, is a slap on the face of our nation. The continuous dastardly action of terrorist groups terrorizing our educational institutions and abducting young students not only undermines the quality of our education, but also deters parents from sending their children and wards to school. This kind of action has happened before. In 2022, I think, some girls were kidnapped, also in Kebbi State, in government secondary school in Yauri. It took the state and our people 4 years, 4 good years, to completely get the girls back. And now it is happening again. Mr. President, I feel deeply hurt. This kind of terrorization of our students, our children, must stop. That's why I call this a slap on the face of this nation. We cannot just allow this kind of situation to continue like that. Something must be done. I know that at one point, when there was this security threat in the Kebbi South Territorial District, in particular that area, that school was closed. Some sanity was brought back, and somehow we thought everything, there was a lull. So the school was reopened again, only for this thing to happen yesterday. This particular matter should be taken very, very seriously by the federal government and our security agencies. We should move immediately to rescue these girls and apprehend the terrorists who had the audacity of carrying out this dastardly operation. While praying for the quick recovery of the wounded principal, I also want this distinguished Senate to observe a minute's silence in honor of the deceased vice principal of this school. I feel, Mr. President, deeply hurt. Indeed, yesterday, when this thing happened, I couldn't sleep. This is not just something happening or affecting Kebbi State, Mr. President. It is a wake-up call for the integrity, but its own children. A nation that cannot secure its own children is not worth living in. Mr. President, let this institution use its weight to appeal to the President and all the security agencies to immediately move no stone unturned to ensure that these girls are rescued and the terrorists apprehended and punished. Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me this opportunity. I also thank the Senate for reversing its normal order of business, giving me this opportunity to voice my indignation at what has happened. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. The abduction of the 25 girls in Kebbi State is a dastardly act, condemnable act that we need to, as a parliament that is responsible and responsive to the yearnings and concerns of the people, raise off and speak in unison against the perpetration of this dastardly act of kidnap of our daughters who are in school in pursuit of education for the betterment of their life and development of this country. Security and protection of the lives and property of the people is the primacy of governance. And the social contract that we have, that government has with the people, for the people to surrender their sovereignty to the whims and caprices of the government is in return for the government to guarantee peace, order, and good governance, and also to protect their lives and property. That is essentially the social contract that government has with the people. I am happy that Mr. President immediately took action by directing the military to go after these terrorists with a view to rescuing these girls back to their respective communities. Of the mandate of the people, and also responsible to the yearnings concerns of the people, will equally pass a resolution and give muscular support and expression to this motion, so that the relevant authorities will rise up to the occasion and bring back these girls. Because anything short of that, one, it is going to negatively impact enrollment into school and confidence in government. Therefore, I support that this motion should be passed by this parliament without much ado, and commend Mr. President for rising up to the occasion immediately and directing the relevant military.
Distinguished Senator Father.
Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, my name is Senator Adeniwa Fadaunsi from Osun East. Well, I wholeheartedly support my colleague, and I wish this students be released on time before they are messed up. But, Mr. President, it seems as if this kidnapping, crime, and the criminality is becoming part and parcel of our culture. We don't even care again about ourselves and about our children. The other time, General Danjuma said, we are at war. We are almost in military rule. Everywhere you see them. And the more Mr. President struggles to finance the military, provide good equipment for them, including police, the more these kidnappings continue. And if you see the cultural aspect of it, you will see that each including is like defense. You have the army. The army, the Air Force has taken the air as their own, which they cannot manage, and they have taken it on their own. It's including Navy. The police, the crime is spreading every day because they are in charge of crime, which means these people cannot do without crime. Time now that Nigerians, particularly Nigerians, must stand up against this impunity, kidnapping all our children almost every time. The whole country should wake up before we have problems from abroad. The military don't. A brigadier general was murdered in ambush and commander. Mr. President, can we or can they? We have the own is for them. If they cannot go beyond that, they will retire peacefully and go home. Another set will come. Look at the time this Boko Haram has started, long time ago. Almost 20 years ago. And we have been having problem. Let us ask them question. And let us give them target and date to clear these people out.
Your Excellency, distinguished senators, my name is Asuko Ekpenyong, Senator representing Cross River South. I rise on this very tragic note, this very gut-wrenching, heartbreaking story of the events that unfolded yesterday. This kind of calamity befell on little school children while on our watch. And I say our watch because we are 7 senators of this federal republic. Where have we gone wrong as a nation? That young students who go to school to seek and acquire knowledge, to develop their communities, to develop, but this time in a more determined manner. We ask what resources they require to prosecute this war. We'll step down, or there will be consequences, because we cannot go on like this. We as a Senate, we must be seen to have failed, because if it's not the appropriation of resources for this endeavor, it is in the oversight, the laws that need to be enacted to protect our people, to protect our children. That is the primary responsibility of government, the protection of lives and property. The Senate must wade into this matter very effectively and very determined to make a difference. We trust on the leadership of this nation, we trust on the leadership of this Senate, that we are going to make a difference, and that this war and this insecurity that has plagued this nation for over a decade shall come to an end under this administration. Mr. President,
Senator Father Hosi. Okay. Senator Sani Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, my name is Mohammed Sani Musa. I rise to contribute to this very important motion. It is very fundamental that we must at the same time praise the armed forces of this country for what they have been doing. But if the truth must be told, the armed forces of this country are overwhelmed. A country of over 230 million with 177,000 men that are ungovernable. We have a lot of forests, nothing is happening. Arable lands, nothing can be done. And this is the consequences of what we are seeing today. We have not closed that. The government is doing everything humanly possible. But I think there is need for all of us now to have a relook, to relook at what we are doing. What has gone wrong, just as my colleague have just said. What has gone wrong? The policies are there. The funding is there. What is if we have them? Are we giving them the opportunity to play a role in our communities? Have we identified these people that are coming to kill our people and kidnap our people? Have we identified where are they? Where are they coming from? If then we know, why is it that we are not doing anything to apprehend these people, to expose them? Not until every one of us, every Nigerian take this law very seriously, to partner with the armed forces, to partner with the government, to see that we expose whoever, no matter the level of your status in society, expose who has a hand in what. We can't continue like this. Every day we will come and bring motion, we set up security committees, we increase funding, and we complain. Why are we not complaining? Why are we complaining? Because it's repeating itself every time again. So, Mr. President, I think it's not just calling the service chiefs. It's for every Nigerian now.
Thank you. Your time is over.
To look at himself or herself. Are we doing the right thing? Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Sani Musa, I know you show everybody's worried about what happened, but the fact is that the entire country is governed. Nowhere that the government is not able to reach, but these guys, these people, these terrorists act in a guerrilla fashion. They attack and run away. That is what is happening, but everywhere is being governed. No, it's not an exception, but we find a way to deal with them. Thank you for your contribution. Senator Ningi.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity.
Sorry, I can see so many people wanting to speak, so we allot 2 minutes for everyone. You can go ahead.
Senator Abdul Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Center of Bauchi State. Mr. President, we are facing an existential threat collectively as people. And by the time we begin to procrastinate religion against this religion, the event of the last few weeks has proven to all Nigerians, irrespective of tribe, region, and religion. And therefore, Mr. President, the more we begin to see ourselves as being victims of these terrorists, the better for all of us. Yesterday we lost a general, Brigadier General Uba Musa, and the videos being circulated. And 24 hours after, you saw what happened in Kebbi. What we are missing is infallibility to keep getting at us. Now we have been saddled with a responsibility going forward. Are these terrorists appeasable? Can we reach out to them? There are one school of thought who imagined that these terrorists could be reached and then discussions take place. There is another school of thought who thinks that these terrorists should be met with all the force required to meet them. And that is the entanglement, Mr. President, we are in. It took the parliament like ours to come up and tell this government whether we or that we can go after these terrorists. Lives have been lost. Imagine if any one of us has a daughter now in captivity in Kebbi. Will you be sleeping? Is it possible for you to survive when your own daughter is taken? And because these daughters are not ours, we begin to be political and lackadaisical in meeting the expectations of our people. It's a bad day for me, sir. I rest my...
I represent Sokoto South Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me join my leader and elder brother by also lending my voice in support of this motion and commiserating with the people and government. Indeed, also condole with the family of General Uba Musa and all of those who have lost their lives in the cause of this heinous crime. Mr. President, as you know, I am from Sokoto State, sister state to Kebbi. By the glory of God and the trust of the people of Sokoto State, I presided over the affairs of Sokoto State for 8 years, and it was from there that I came here. While there, on the saddle of leadership of that state, I was deeply involved in facing situations like this. Mr. President, we cannot afford to play politics with issues of security. Security remains one of the key and most important ingredient for the survival of any community. And once there is a security threat, it is expected that all of the members of a particular community should come together and bond and face that threat. That is what I expect from this parliament. That's what I expect from Nigerians. We must de-emphasize the issues of religion. Do that. The tendency is that we are falling into the trap of enemies of this country. And we know ourselves. Bond together and make sure that we move side by side in facing and confronting all of these challenges facing this country. Mr. President, this is a very serious matter. It has been recurring, and in Kebbi, Sokoto, Katsina, Zamfara, Kaduna, Niger, Plateau, Benue, many parts, virtually every part of Nigeria today is facing one form of insecurity or the other. And unless we're able to come together and work together, we may not find solution to it. I admonish the government of Kebbi State to maybe borrow a leaf from what we did during our service in Sokoto State. We were forced by the circumstances of that time to relocate so many schools, merge some boarding schools, and deboard some of the schools. Maga is in Zuru Emirate, and Zuru Emirate has been facing this very particular challenge over time. Some of these schools, and making some of them where they have day schools as day schools. And then taking some of them out of security-prone areas, challenge-prone areas, to a safer environment. I believe that will help. And I call on federal government to go back to what we have been saying. As governors of Northern Nigeria then, we have been calling for concerted and coordinated fight. Their template of attacking these bandits, either in Kebbi or in Zamfara or in Katsina or Niger or Plateau or Benue, in silos, will not work. It's not working. It has to be a coordinated effort and making sure that maybe it's done simultaneously.
The former Senate President, Senator Amelon.
I represent Yobe Senatorial District. Mr. President, let me join my colleagues to sympathize with people and government of Kebbi State, and indeed the people of Nigeria. Mr. President, in 2014, the federal government of Nigeria, a former British Prime Minister Gordon Brown, who then worked with Global Business Coalition for Education, was also in Nigeria to work with our leaders' environments in our schools. Mr. President, some money was contributed by the UN. Then, soon as he took off, I think it went down. What has happened in MAGA is simply the kind of situation that we face in almost every part of it was murdered. in Borno State, a general and his team who are working, fighting insurgency, fighting to protect us. It is very important here, Mr. President, that we address the security situation very squarely. This administration is making a lot of investment in the security sector. I believe that with a lot of money, funds, and resources going into our armed forces, we should be asking for better outcomes. We should be looking at time frames. It shouldn't be an endless war against the insurgents. Can we really afford to fund our armed forces and other security agencies better, given the fact that we now have more revenues than before, and insist on value for money? Or else we look for others who can do it better. I also want to suggest that the relevant committees of the Senate investigate what has happened to the safe school initiatives, because this program was at the beginning working, but no one talks about it anymore. What can we do to protect our children and wards when they go to school? Mr. President, Nigeria has been taking more than 40, 50 years back educationally because of the insurgency factor in northern Nigeria. And I said Nigeria has been taken back, not northern Nigeria, because what happens in any part of our country affects the other parts. And it is very important that because these children are our future, we have to do everything possible. Come up with something that will ensure that parents feel comfortable, feel that their children will be protected when they go to school. Otherwise, the dropouts, the withdrawal of kids from schools will continue, and the future of Nigeria will be compromised. I want to thank the president and commend him actually for asking the military, our armed forces, to go after these people. But time is of essence here for our armed forces. As parents, nobody will sleep if their kids are not returned and returned safely. So we have to push as a parliament how far we can push in terms of funding, how far we will continue to insist on getting value for money. Not only on this, but on other situations that have just reared their heads. Thank you very much for the privilege.
Now, we don't have much time remaining, but I will give one minute to Senator Oji Kalu and Senator Vito Ume so that we can go to the prayers. So 1 minute.
That goes to the government and people of Kebbi State on what happened yesterday. The issue is that most state executives are not putting enough time in pursuing security. Security is not only federal government issue. We have many people that were governors here. I would like this Senate to discuss with the governors forum, because most governors have not. Security is not only the job of federal government. I was governor from 1999 to. We went out of every blame is on the federal government. No, I never blame Obasanjo for one day as a governor. I took the challenge in my hand to face out all criminals out of Abia State, and I went to help Anambra State. I went to help other states around that area. I believe our governors have a lot of input to do in this. Not only the military, keeping our gears.
Thank you. Time is off. The time is off. The message is gotten. Thank you, Senator Ume. You have the floor. 1 minute so that we can hear from Senator Lalong, being the former
thank you, Mr. President.
chairman of Northern Government Forum, and then we round up with Senator Adam Oshomole. I'm sorry, we need 1 more minute because time is off. Please.
Thank you, Mr. This issue is one that many people don't want to contribute to anymore. Such matters come to this chamber.
Something.
But there are ones that you will see, you must be constrained to talk. They were kidnapped yesterday. Or thereabouts. They didn't vanish to the thin air when they were taken away. They were taken away, they're still on the ground, being moved about. So I believe that the security agencies should deploy technology, even from far places. The technology we have today makes it possible for tracking to be done. So we are talking a day has gone, next 2 days, these girls will not be found. So the security agencies should deploy everything. The armed forces cannot protect every security mapping.
Very good point. People of Kebbi State and especially Nigeria. Mr. President, I was going to ask first, what has the girl child done wrong to people in Nigeria? The girl child. Because this offense mostly, this criminal act is mostly the issue of Leah, whom I kept the parents in Plateau State for a very long time. Mr. President, I want to emphasize the point led by the former Senate President. What is wrong with the Safe School program? I was a member of the Safe School program, Mr. President, and that went a lot in helping to secure schools. It was also funded by the World Bank. So if today, under Federal Ministry of Education, so today, if we are beginning to have a reoccurrence of the Chibok girls affair, let us call that organization review most of these things. Otherwise, the same criminal attitudes are reoccurring in Nigeria. And unfortunately, the victim is a girl child. Are we saying that we don't want the girls to be educated? It will be unfortunate if we say we scare girls from going to school, especially in the northern aspect. So I will also move that this matter
be seen as a matter of national emergency. National emergency before we go into another Chibok case. God forbid. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, distinguished colleagues, this is a very serious issue, and it has happened. It has happened. I've listened to everybody and your contributions. It's like a recurring decimal. The last time we were about to have election, Chibok girls were kidnapped, and so many. There were far more than this. And then at that time, we were in denial as government, because we were saying, how can they take 100, 200 or whatever girls and move and nobody sees? What did they use in conveying them? But after weeks and weeks of going back and forth, we finally discovered that, yes, indeed, it happened. So now, we are now faced with another one. And coming at a time like this, when there's a lot of focus by the international community on Nigeria, I think it's important that at the Security Summit, to get the views of Nigerians, compile them, and then come up in December when we are doing the National Security Summit. I understand all the zones right now are handling their zonal security. Summits. Am I right? Yeah, I saw on television when you did the notice. I don't know. I'll get the dates from you. The one of Northwest was postponed to Monday, I think. Not Monday. Not Northwest is Saturday. South. South is on Thursday and all that. So I would like us to actually just discuss in the market, but further discussions and inputs and suggestions should be in a closed session. And if you don't mind, let's spare a few minutes and have a closed session, because it's a very serious issue that will affect not just the today situation. So prayer one. The Senate condemns in totality this dastardly act of kidnapping and violence against our children, our educational institutions, and prayer two. Urge the federal government and all security agencies to immediately take all the necessary steps to apprehend these criminals, the terrorists, and do everything possible to rescue these abducted children without further delay. Those in support of prayer to say aye. Again say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3. Commiserate with the state, the government of Kebbi State, and urge the governor to leave no stone unturned in his efforts to secure the relief. Nobody should release. So that we can get good news in the next few days. So the prayer 4, observe a minute silence for the death of the vice principal of the school, who was unfortunately killed. The eyes have it. We should also prayer 5, pray for the quick recovery of the wounded principal, and of course the wounded students, if any, and pray for also for their safe return to their parents in the quickest possible time. Those in support of this last prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Additional prayer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Time and time again, we have on the floor of this Senate and outside this Senate, and even during the electioneering campaign, that the size of the Nigerian army is exactly what it was. So my prayer is this.
The additional prayer is that time and time again, we have gone.
Yes.
Urge the Senate time and time again to do what?
No, urge the Nigerian Armed Forces and the Commander-in-Chief to recruit additional 1,000 men into the Nigerian army, so that we have enough men and women in uniform to cover the entire country. And number 2, that we probe the amount disbursed in the name of Safe School Program. How much was spent? Who collected the money? What did they do with it? Because now we have seen, Mr. President, as additional prayer, people are turned security to a business. So we should not monetize the death of people. By those who are living, by appropriating funds in the name of protecting schools, and as we know now, the schools are not protected. What happened to the money?
So your prayer 3?
Yes, sir.
Is that we should urge the Safe School Program to continue by ensuring the
no, sir, not to continue.
The recruitment.
No, to probe what has happened to the money.
No, you had 2 legs. One
sir,
is that
it's a motion of 2 legs. One is to recruit additional 1,000 men and women into the Nigerian army.
You have 2 legs. You have 2 legs. You have 2 legs.
Yes, sir. I have 2 legs, sir. Left and right.
You have 2 legs to your contribution. At least 1,000 additional personnel.
No, 100,000.
Or 100,000 additional personnel to ensure the protection of schools.
That is army. Because the chief of army staff said they have 177,000 men. I think we should have at least 100,000 more to make it 277,000. This point was raised by Senator Sani. Let it be captured in our prayer that we want additional 100,000 men and women to be in 1980. Every year, our population is growing at 3%, and therefore our armed forces numbers should increase in addition to the deployment of appropriate tracking technology.
So the first prayer is that we should urge the President's commander-in-chief personnel,
yes, Mr. President,
into the armed forces. It
will be, sir, a house always had me from them. This is better than providing tokens to people. These are jobs that will reduce a lot of young men out of the unemployment market. It will be money well spent, even if somebody else has to give.
Immediately ensure the recruitment of at least 100,000 personnel,
yes, sir,
into the armed forces. No, it's at least, he's saying at least it's a motion, at least 100,000 personnel into the armed forces to cater for the security of the nation in view of the exponential that we should look into
safe school
that
program.
The Senate, we are urging the Senate to look into the issue or the money voted for safe school program and now they were utilized.
Yes, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
Any seconder? I don't know which one, but any seconder? Huh? DSP, go ahead.
I think there's need for guidance here. Ought to have crafted his motion in the way that it will be well understood. Put it together and then you read it so that nobody will second. Just write it, couch it very well, and then somebody will second. Because there are two motions together.
Sorry. DSP, Clerk of the Senate, give.
Thank you, sir. Except that DSP, you remember the House leader reminded us.
It's the practice of the Senate that when you have additional prayer, you should write it out. While he's writing, is there any other additional prayer? No. Distinguished colleagues, while you have additional prayer, even after it has been concluded, the staff here will still give you a plain sheet, so you can author it for the purpose of our votes and proceedings. You must write it out. Quickly thank distinguished Senator Yaya. Bringing this issue to the fore and to say that it's really a matter. I haven't got much details, but I know that this must have been an educational institute that was not limited to one religion. So I'm sure that the place must have been full of both Christians and Muslims. And so on religious basis should note that a bullet, whether it is stray or direct, has no religious inclination. So for me, it's important for the nation to be safe, irrespective of your religion. So we should work together, distinguished Senator Tamboa, we should work together to ensure the safety of lives and properties without trying to emphasize on religious connotation. I think that should be the focus of this parliament and the focus of Nigerians. So do not, because not only do we intermarry on a daily basis, we intervisit on a daily basis. So there is no need for you to say, oh, some may decide to target Muslims, some may decide to target Christians, but Nigerians are the ones being targeted. So our job here is to work diversity. And there are atheists who do not believe in any religion. There are all sorts of people. So it's important that we work for the safety of all Nigerians, irrespective of religious bias. It's very, very important. So please, when things like this happen, when any part of the world, if it is possible, we don't want violence in even West Africa, if it is possible. So the entire country, we want the country to be safe for all Nigerians. And that is why they elected us here, to make laws, resolutions, and take steps to ensure that we, in line with our constitutional duties, that lives and properties are safe. And for those who may have that God has made possible to bind all of us together, is that whether you are a Caucasian, whether you are a black, whether you are whatever tribe you belong to, when you cut your skin, what comes out is red blood. The red blood is to signify that we are all from the same parentage, that we are all from the same genealogy, and we are all human beings, and we should protect one another. So it's important that we note that in our daily activities, and then do not bring things out.
Can I read?
Before you read it, allow the leader to extend the time within which we should sit, in case we end up arguing beyond the time.
Mr. President, I'm standing under Order 8.3, seeking for the extension of time beyond 3 o'clock. I so move.
Yes, the minority leader.
To extend time to enable us conclude our items on the agenda. I so second.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we do extend our time from 11 to 3, beyond 3 p.m. to enable us conclude the day's proceedings. You may proceed with your additional prayer.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I appreciate this privilege. I move that the Senate urged Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to order the Nigerian Army to recruit additional 100,000 men and women into the Nigerian Army, trained and equipped to be able to cope with the exponential increase in our population. Urge the Senate.
Thank you. That's
is the military. More than 100.
No, just more personnel. Not giving him number.
No, but the moment you said at least, any second.
This is a view of the exponential increase in our population.
Don't worry. I don't want it to be a leadership thing. Can we have Amos? This was Amos. Yana.
Thank you, Mr. President.
But Senator Amos, Yana has not spoken today.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, I am Amos Yohana. I represent Chief of the Federal Republic of to direct the Nigerian army the Nigerian military to recruit at least 100,000 men and women and be equipped. I so second.
Any time frame?
So I think it should be as soon as possible because we cannot order the president. We urge him. Women are all over the country, roaming around unemployed. They'll be quite happy to. Just last week, sir, I heard that in Ghana, people were trying to join the army, so it's not in Nigeria.
A motion has been moved and seconded that we should urge the President Commander-in-Chief to take steps to order the Nigerian army into various arms of the military to assist in combating terrorism and insecurity as soon as possible. Those in support of the additional prayer,
it's and the federal government to investigate the funds appropriated as well as those released under the Safe School program, because right now there is no evidence.
Just a prayer, not.
Okay,
not
that's why I don't need
debate.
to justify it, right? Urge the Senate committee, appropriate committee of defense, Navy, Army. No, not defense.
No, it's Federal Ministry of Education.
The Federal Ministry of Education to investigate, and the Senate to investigate the use of the funds that were appropriated both through national budget and through foreign donors like the World Bank, ordered a program called Safe School Program, and report to the Senate as soon as possible. The last one is on technology. Yeah, to employ technology, another relevant modern, employ trackers, another related modern technology, and even artificial intelligence to be able to enhance the capacity of our agencies to track and prevent these heinous crimes. I so move, sir.
Distinguished Senator Ahmed Lawan.
Mr. President, thank you very much. I raise my hand to just correct the second additional prayer. Instead of leaving it wide open by saying appropriate committees or relevant committees, the Safe School initiatives is based in the Federal Ministry of Finance. That itself was an anomaly. It shouldn't have been there. It should have been in the Ministry of Education. So if we are setting up, if we are giving our committees responsibility, first, Committee on Finance needs to be there, Committee on Education needs to be there. So we need to be specific so that we know who and who are going to handle this. And then give them time. So I just want him to, the committee is more appropriate, because most of the issues under the self-school initiatives is about skewering the basic education, the secondary schools largely. But we can make it, because the program is based in the Federal Ministry of Finance, Mr. President.
Thank you. I think the problem Nigeria has, or has always had, is there anything that appropriate that program to themselves? I don't see personally how Safe School program will go and be a Ministry of Finance that does not oversight education. So what you are saying is news to me. So for my brother Adams, you don't need to stand up. We will take the burden off you now, because it is not the federal government that will look into it. It is the Senate. Our work is to oversight. So if a program has already been undertaken by the federal government, whether now or in the past, it is the job of the parliament to oversight. And so it's our job to investigate. So what the idea you have brought is that we should investigate the funding and the expenditure of the Safe School program, now, which is to order the, maybe we set up an ad hoc committee and put the relevant committees of the Senate Finance, Education, Defense, Army, is to immediately investigate the funding of the Safe School program and why it has failed to ensure safety in schools. Please bring that as an additional program.
Thank you, Mr. President. You captured the entire thing very well. We are to investigate, but not to urge the federal government. I move that this August Senate create an ad hoc committee.
Exactly.
Consisting of committee on finance, or relevant committees, all relevant committees. Thank you very much. To investigate the Safe School initiative. I so move.
Senator Tambua.
Mr. President, my colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by the Deputy President of the Senate. I so second.
It's very important that you find you contribute to this ad hoc committee, because you were once the governor, and as a key member of the, or not, it has achieved its purpose in view of this current incident of the kidnapping. Of our school children and the killing of this vice principal. Those in support of this motion that the Senate should immediately set up an ad hoc committee to look into, I don't want to use the word probe, to look into the funding, the expenditure. We will set up the Safe School program committee investigative panel immediately to look into the situation. And we are in sympathy with what has happened. But please be reminded that Nigeria is a very large country with 36 states and the FCT. Also be reminded that it is not possible to have even one policeman per polling unit during election, because we don't have the personnel. And then, of course, our security services are stretched. And these people are going to soft targets. They go to places that you are not expecting at all. And also, there is no society without crime. Even the almighty America has crime on a daily basis. So, but we must do our best to minimize crime, to reduce crime to the barest minimum. And it is not peculiar to any particular regime. Crime is crime. Crime is crime. It doesn't matter the administration. For the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we sympathize with the agony. We sympathize with the families for the agony they are passing through. We sympathize with those are young children that are probably in very uncomfortable situation right now, wherever they are taken to. And we urge the not just relevant committees this time, we urge the armed forces across board, including individuals, they have been traumatized. And may we now rise to observe a 1 minute silence in honor of the vice principal, the heroic vice principal, who in their attempt to stop any harm coming upon those children was dastardly killed, as the Senate has already condemned such. Let's observe 1 minute silence for the repose of the soul of that prince. For the soul of our fellow Nigerian vice principal of the school, who died in the cause of protecting the children, rest in perfect peace.
Yeah, point of order. Mr. President, in line with the resolve under Order 1B, I will move that we do an additional prayer to the repose of the souls of Brigadier General Uba and other.
Senator Izunaso.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Osita Izunaso. I represent Imo West. I rise to second the motion, ably moved by Senator Ningi, that will include the name of Brigadier General Oba and other military officers that were killed in this motion. I so second, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, painfully and mournfully, I have to put the question. Those in support that we observed insurgents yesterday in Borno State, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Let us observe a minute silence in honor of their souls. May the souls of Brigadier General Oba and other gallant officers who were murdered yesterday by terrorists in Borno State rest in perfect peace. Amen. The Minority Leader.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I second the motion that we step down the fifth item on the order paper for the next legislative day. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that the fifth item on the order paper be stepped down to another legislative day. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The motion is stepped down. Yes, Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, I stand to move a motion that we go into executive session to discuss very important issue. I so move.
Closed session, right? Closed session.
Closed session.
Yes, the Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion that the Senate dissolves into a closed session to discuss vital matters. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded that we do go into closed session to discuss other national issues. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Get one free sachet when you buy 5 Sanya tomato mix or pepper and onion sachet.
This is ABN TV, where the world is on your screen, bringing you news like you've never seen. From headlines to highlights, we are your guide. ABN TV. Let's take you for a ride. Your stories, your world, your channel. This is ABN TV, where the world is on your screen, bringing you news like you've never seen. From headlines to highlights, we are your guide. ABN TV. Let's take you for a ride. Your stories, your world, your channel. This is ABN TV, where the world is on your screen, bringing you news like you've never seen. From headlines to highlights, we are your guide. ABN TV. Let's take you for a ride. Your stories, your world, your channel. This is ABN TV, where the world is on your screen, bringing you news like you've never seen. From headlines to highlights, we are your guide. ABN TV. Let's take you for a ride. Your stories, your world, your channel. This is ABN TV, where the world is on your screen, bringing you news like you've never seen. From headlines to highlights, we are your guide. ABN TV. Let's take you for a ride. Your stories, your world,